you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Hi, I'm John Malice. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Tuesday morning. A special edition of Connect with Me. We have a congressman in the house to take your phone calls, 436-MeTV option 11. Remember, do not wade through the message, and also turn down the sound if you do venture to call in. Back in just a moment. You know, usually on Tuesday mornings here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno, we focus on business, but on this morning here on the showroom floor, we're going to focus on politics a little bit of change of pace here. It's a Your Community segment, and we do have a congressman in the house. I won't tell you who it is just now, but I will in just a moment. It's a surprise, and also his first visit here on the set of Connect with Me. We're glad to have him. Remember the telephone number at 436-MeTV option 11. Of course, the issue of Benghazi has been, well, it's been spinning around, of course, Washington and Congress and the Senate and the White House and all over the country here for the past year and a half or so. Things do not seem to be settled as of yet, or any conclusions as to exactly what happened. As you know, the ambassador to Libya, Christopher Stevens, was killed on September the 11th, 2012 in an attack that took place at the consulate there, the U.S. consulate. But there were a lot of things going on, and a lot of things have happened. Was Al-Qaeda involved? Was it just a spontaneous reaction by a bunch of kooks that came by and killed these 4 Americans? That is the issue. Christopher Stevens was named the ambassador in May of 2012. He went there on September the 11th to try to seek out and search the weapons that were left behind by Muammar Gaddafi. Of course, he was killed, dragged through the streets about a year earlier. Well, everything was calm on that September 11th day, 9/11, of course, 11 years after the 9/11 attacks. That all changed when darkness hit. Let's go to the videotape and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. This happened in Benghazi, 9/11. 9:42 Benghazi time, gunfire is heard outside the consulate, then a loud explosion. Within minutes, dozens of armed militia charged the main gate, setting fire to the barracks and headed straight for the ambassador's residence. At 10 p.m., the ambassador Christopher Stevens, the information officer Sean Smith, and a security agent ran to a safe room. 3 American men with guns were now facing 120 other rebels with RPGs, machine guns, grenades, and the rest. No match for Stevens and his cohort. An alert is sent to the CIA security team to an annex about a mile away. Then an alert went to the U.S. State Department at an embassy in Tripoli. Using a cell phone, Stevens called the U.S. missions chief, Gregory Hicks, at the embassy and said he was under attack. At 10:30, a fortified door with heavy metal bars keeps the attackers from breaking into the safe room, but minutes later, the attackers set the place on fire. 4 died, including Stevens himself. It's a tragedy. We're trying to get to the bottom of it. Live in our studio right now is Congressman Devin Nunes, who sits on the House Intelligence Committee in U.S. Congress. He is a first-time guest here to talk about the Benghazi attack, the tragedy that killed not only Stevens, but 3 other Americans, 4 in all. This has been a very controversial issue in Congress and the Senate. Of course, Democrats say that the Republicans are targeting Hillary Clinton, who wants to run for president in 2016, and they're trying to cast a bad eye, of course, on the president himself, Barack Obama. Devin Nunes is here, the congressman from the 22nd Congressional District. We're back with our show here, 436 MeTV, option 11. Call in if you have a question.
Now, why don't you tell us the whole story right from the beginning? All right, from the beginning. This is the city, Los Angeles, California. My name's Friday. I carry a badge. Police officers.
You any idea who the other man was?
My partner's Bill Gannon.
Program?
We got just one big question.
Yeah.
When?
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Benghazi has been the focus of all the talk shows. Of course, on Sunday, you know, you're talking about Meet the Press, the one on ABC, the one on CBS. David Gregory has touched on it many times. Fox News, CNN. It's all over the place. It's a never-ending story since September the 11th, 2012. And I'm glad to welcome in Congressman Devin Nunes. How are you, Congressman?
Doing good, John. Thank you so much for having me.
Well,
It's great to be here. I've actually never been to Ventura TV, so this is a nice little studio here that you have set up.
Well, we can offer you a washer and a dryer, perhaps a television, a flat screen.
I saw a nice refrigerator in there. I don't think it would fit in my house, though. But It looked nice, reasonably priced.
Well, anyway, so how about those 49ers and Seahawks?
Well, I
What a
think
game,
that I'm unfortunately a Raiders fan, so I haven't had anything to cheer about for 10 years.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen the 49ers win, but unfortunately wasn't their day. I know there's a lot of conspiracies about the refs, which some of it was questionable, but at the end of the day, Seahawks are a good team, so are the 49ers.
Let's talk some politics. This 30 minutes is going to go by so quick. I want to talk to you about Benghazi. Senate intelligence report is out. What did it say?
It actually did a nice job of putting together a nice sketch of what happened that night. So if people want to, if the American public actually wants to go read a report that is mostly accurate.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's fully accurate. I would go online. You can download it. You can read the whole thing for yourself. I've read it several times. It's around, 80, 90 pages. But if you want to know about what happened in Benghazi, it's a good starter. It's a good reference point. It's probably the best document that's out there to date.
Does it indicate in there that, yes, there were al-Qaeda elements and they were involved?
Well, yeah, everyone knew it was al-Qaeda from the beginning. The White House refused, as you know, to acknowledge that it was al-Qaeda. They still refuse to acknowledge that it was al-Qaeda. But there was never any question from the night of the attack, from the folks on the ground there, that this was a well-planned, orchestrated attack done by al-Qaeda. Now,
do you have proof of that?
Well, yeah, everybody knows it.
Everybody
everyone knows it. The question is what the White House is trying to do. They're trying to split hairs.
Yeah.
They're trying to say that al-Qaeda, that it was not core al-Qaeda. Well, I've never heard the definition of core al-Qaeda until Benghazi came around. So when you look at that region, you look at Egypt, Tunisia, the Maghreb below in Nigeria, northern Nigeria, Mali, parts of Lebanon, Syria, where it's all engulfed, Iraq, everywhere but Benghazi, it's al-Qaeda. But just in Benghazi, for some reason, the administration's trying to say, well, it's not core al-Qaeda. Well, it's just not believable, and it's not believable. The American people don't believe it. That's why
You're saying because the whole area is surrounded by al-Qaeda and their elements.
Everywhere but Benghazi
Yeah.
is al-Qaeda. And they're trying to say that, well, this is not core al-Qaeda. Well, that's really,
Yeah.
I don't think that doesn't pass a straight face test to the American people.
The ambassador himself, Christopher Stevens, made several requests for extra security. Why didn't he get it?
Well, look, I think you have to kind of break this up into, if you want to look at what happened in Benghazi, there's a few things to break up in pieces that night and before. So first of all, you have who was responsible for increasing the security leading up to September 11th. That's one segment, and there's a lot of people to blame there. Ultimately, Hillary Clinton has to take the blame because she was Secretary of State.
It was her responsibility to get added security?
Yes, because it was a State Department facility.
Okay.
The ambassador had made the request. The request was denied by Hillary Clinton. Now, I don't think there's an issue. I think Hillary Clinton has actually said that they should have done more. So I'm not sure that there's not a smoking gun there. I think they've admitted their mistakes, and now they have to improve it. Then that night becomes a big question mark. I think this is where there's that night and then after, in search of the people who did the attack. So that night, there are major questions on the timeline. We were lied to about the timeline. The Congress was lied to, in my opinion. We continue to have to deal with issues like, well, was this really Al-Qaeda when everybody knows it was Al-Qaeda? We don't know where the president and his entire staff was that night. So there was never any air support that was sent in. Okay, even though the attack was ongoing the whole night until basically 3:30, and then followed by the deadly mortar attack on the annex at 5:15 a.m., where additional 2 former Navy SEALs were murdered by the mortar attack. So that night there was no accountability for the people who were in charge leading this country, from the president on down, where they were, what they knew, when they knew it. That has to be answered.
So our leaders were missing at that critical time, is what you're saying.
Well, we know kind of where they were, but they...
Well, you know what I mean by that. They lack the leadership.
There's no accountability. No one knows exactly, well, when did the president exactly find out? Who at that point made decisions? Who decided not to send air support? Because there was never any air support sent in until our Americans ended up at the Benghazi airport. And then that airplane didn't get there until then we didn't get an actual official U.S. government airplane there until I think noon in Tripoli.
Let's take a call here real quick. Good morning, you're on Connect with Me. Your question, please? Hello? Oops, they were there. Okay, we'll try it again. Before we go to break here, I want to put up the 4 dead Americans. Let's put their pictures up so we know who we're talking about, who was attacked. There he is right there, Congressman. Ambassador Christopher Stevens, of course. The ambassador to Libya was killed. Also, Sean Smith, the U.S. Foreign Service Information Management Officer. And Glenn Doherty, there he is there. And Tyrone Woods, both former Navy SEALs. All 4 were killed in the Benghazi attack. Have you had a chance to speak to their families?
I have spoke via communications, not directly to some of their families, but I am one of the few people that actually know the survivors. So I have met with the survivors that night. I have met numerous times with the contractors who saved everyone that went from the annex over to the embassy to help bail everybody out of the embassy compound,
right,
and brought them back to the annex. I know those guys personally. They're good guys. They're American heroes, and it's a shame what happened that night because, really, if it wasn't for them, everyone would have been murdered.
All right, got to take a quick break here. We'll come back with Congressman Devin Nunes of the 22nd Congressional District, 436 MeTV, Option 11, talking about Benghazi and maybe even a few other things here on Connect with Me in a moment.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Back here with our guest, glad to have him, Devin Nunes, the congressman from the 22nd Congressional District, is a first appearance here. Got a call coming out of the break. Good morning, you're on Connect with Me, your question.
Yes, no, it's not a question. Yeah, the question is, how would I be able to talk to Mr. Nunes, and I'll use that term Mr. very loosely as a constituent of him. I'd like to speak to him off the record right now, and this off the TV. How would I be able to do that?
Well, we have limited time here. Go ahead and ask your question real quick. He can hear you.
Well, Mr. Nunes, let me ask you this. How do you justify making, 4 or 5 times the money that your constituents are earning in this area, and you want to use all these little things as your little problems and all? Yes, we understand them, and my heart feels for the people and their families that we have lost over there. But how do you justify your job right now and how much you make as compared to your constituents out in the area? Thank you very much.
Somebody's got to do the job. I mean, somebody's got to run for Congress.
Well, I mean, look, anyone can run. There's 700,000 people live in my district. If you live there, you can run. You can run against me. The fact is that we don't set our pay. I mean, it's been set for a long time.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, we want to make sure that that we keep the federal government out of people's lives here, which is a whole other set of issues as we're dealing with the water issues and the bigger issues of how, if you look at the extreme liberals from Hollywood and San Francisco who have created havoc on the San Joaquin Valley here, I think is very unfortunate. But the fact of the matter is that we don't set our pay.
Yeah, you don't, and like you say, anybody can run, but somebody's got to run. Somebody has to do the job. Somebody has to be in there.
Yeah.
So, and thank you for being respectful with your question too. Congressman Devin Nunes is here.
But if anybody wants to, the other issue is that we are very responsive. All you have to do is go to my website, nunes.house.gov. You can go right there to connect.
And you've got offices not only in D.C., you've got them here in the Central Valley. If you have a complaint or a question. Just be respectful when you call in, and you can ask anything you want.
Right, but the best way is just you go online and you can send an email, and we will respond.
Got a call, I guess, coming in, right? Okay. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me with a congressman. Go ahead.
Hi. Good day, Mr. Congressman. I've never talked to somebody so important. But my question is, with everything that's happened in Benghazi and all this other stuff that we already know about, are you going to be able to do it? Are you going to make sure that our athletes are protected in Russia or wherever they're going?
Good question.
No, that's actually a very good question. So there are a lot of precautions being taken right now. As you know, probably if you haven't seen this, but our intelligence community, many people have actually recommended that unless you absolutely have to go, they've actually recommended not going to Russia. I'm not so sure that I agree with that, but I do think there is a real danger. So I think if you do go to Russia, I think you have to be on the alert. I think you have to make sure that you have proper security, and we will be sending security with our team there, and hopefully nothing bad happens. But it's no question it's a dangerous part of the world.
Yeah, appreciate the call. Thank you very much. I want to get back to the Benghazi issue. And Dianne Feinstein, of course, has appeared on many programs, Meet the Press, of course, and many others, including the Sunday talk show on Fox. And recently she said, well, last year she appeared on the talk show that is Fox News Sunday. She talked about Benghazi, and she said it definitely was a terrorist attack. That's what she had to say back in 2013. Let's take a look at that interview now.
Well, I don't think it had anything to do with politics. I do think it has something to do with our assessment. And, my view is very simple and very direct. The minute you know mortars are used, the minute you know RPGs are used, it's either a terrorist attack or it's a military attack. Those are the only two things it could be. Now, what is a terrorist? A terrorist isn't necessarily all one thing. A terrorist uses the attack as a vehicle, and we all know that now. Therefore, it's pretty clear the minute mortars show up, the minute RPGs show up, you have a terrorist attack.
She thinks it was a terrorist attack, and she sits on the other side of the aisle from you. She's a Democrat. She sits on the Senate Intelligence Committee. So what do you think?
Well, I've seen all the video.
Okay.
So it's clear that it was a terrorist attack. There were known terrorists that we've identified as the attackers. They used RPGs. They used tactics that only trained assassins would know how to use, and they used mortars, as the senator just said. So there's no question it was a terrorist attack.
Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. Well, you were. Anyway, we're talking with Congressman Devin Nunes. David Kirkpatrick of the New York Times wrote this big expose on December the 28th. It was almost as long as the Encyclopedia Britannica, but they did a 15 or 16-month investigation. He went on Meet the Press with David Gregory, and he said basically their investigation showed, and they talked to many groups on the ground in Libya, said terrorists were not involved, Al-Qaeda was not involved. How do you view that report?
Well, I would say that this is a reporter who I guess lives in the region or has spent time in the region.
Right.
I spoke directly to the men who were on the ground that night who saved everyone from being murdered. Our contractors that went to the embassy compound and back to the annex and then got people back to safety at the airport and got them back to Tripoli. And they said it was terrorist attack, period. So
how can you come up with these two conflicts? The intelligence of course, community is saying many in the intelligence, I'm not using a broad brush, but some in the intelligence community, they're saying, yes, it was a terrorist attack. And then this guy Kirkpatrick says, no, there's nobody in the intelligence community who knows that this was a terrorist attack. They don't agree with that. So how do you come up with conflicting reports like that?
Well, this is a reporter
right.
who's writing for a magazine.
Right.
Who obviously doesn't believe in that Al-Qaeda is in the region, and I think he would be a very small minority. I mean, even our government, as I said earlier to open the show, recognizes that Al-Qaeda is in every country except for that small area of Benghazi. It's just not believable.
Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. Your question?
Good morning, John. Devin, listen, I still have your bumper stickers. I'm still holding them for your next election.
Oh, thank you.
Question, there's more information that needs to come out from Benghazi tragedy, and am I correct in that?
Yes.
And he's holding it back. They're not giving it to you. Am I correct?
Yes, that's
okay.
There's still information that we still need.
So how does this take a vote on it to get the information? Or does this have to actually go to the Supreme Court to get the information, if it's the right information?
Well, so I think I can explain that pretty simply here. So the House Intelligence Committee and the Senate Intelligence Committee have access to the most at the highest level, the top secret classified information that we have in our government today.
And you sit on that committee.
And I sit on that committee. So we are currently attempting to not only get some phone records, but also there are still some people who were on the ground that night that we want to speak with, plus other people who are on the communications channels that we want to speak with. So I guess hypothetically, if we get to an impasse where we do not get the evidence that we want or the people that we want to interview, then we would have to go to court. I can't imagine it getting to that point because I think we would subpoena them. And we would have the power. We have subpoena power, and so we would have to get to that point to where we'd have to use the subpoena power in order to bring them in. My guess is they're slow rolling us for as long as they can, but ultimately the truth is going to come out on this.
But the people that you want to talk to and subpoena, are they part of the State Department?
Both. So they would be State Department and other government agencies.
And are you able to subpoena State Department people?
Yes, we can, either through our committee or through other committees, but we can get to the people.
And we haven't gotten to that point yet, right, Congressman?
We still have yet. This is the frustrating part, and it says it in the Senate report that the administration is at best
stonewalling,
slow rolling.
Slow rolling, but not stonewalling.
Not stonewalling, but slow rolling.
Slow rolling. I understand. They're moving like molasses. We're here with Congressman Devin Nunes, 436, MeTV, Benghazi, water. What's on your mind? Hey, how about high-speed rail? California's in a world of hurt if they got to fork over all that money in April. Back with our show in a moment.
Now, why don't you tell us the whole story right from the beginning? All right, from the beginning. This is the city, Los Angeles, California. My name's Friday. I carry a badge. Police officers.
You any idea who the other man was?
My partner's Bill Gannon.
Program?
We got just one big question.
Yeah.
When?
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Back here talking with the Congressman, Devin Nunes, who represents District 22. You represented District 21 for what, 10 years? Something like that?
Yeah, the districts changed numbers, but for the most part, my constituents remain the same.
Yeah.
My district had to shrink just a little bit.
All right. One more thing on Benghazi, and then we'll move on to something else because we're running out of time. I do want to play that interview from Meet the Press with David Kirkpatrick, who was interviewed by David Gregory. And he asked him, how do you know that it was not a terrorist attack? How do you know that it wasn't Al-Qaeda? Here's what David Kirkpatrick of the New York Times had to say as to how he knows that it wasn't.
Well, I don't think I'm out on a limb there. I think, honestly, if you asked anybody in the U.S. intelligence business, they would tell you the same thing. I've talked to some of the people who I believe were lead perpetrators, and it's just obvious from them and the people around them. They're purely local people. Their pasts are known, their records are known, when they were in prison, who they hung out with in prison, who their associations are. There's just no chance that this was an Al-Qaeda attack, if by Al-Qaeda you mean the organization founded by Osama bin Laden.
So anyway, that was David Kirkpatrick last year on Meet the Press. And of course, this thing is not over. I can't wait until some of those people that you want to talk to are finally subpoenaed. We do have a call here. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me with the Congressman. Go ahead.
It's a pleasure to hear from you both. Got a question. I'd like to know from Congressman what website one can go to get the information or read the report on the Benghazi attack.
If you Google the Senate Intelligence Committee, it should be like senateintelcommittee.org, something like that, or .gov. But if you Google a Senate Intelligence Committee, it should come up. You can go to their website and you should be able to download it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We got about 3.5 minutes left. Water. We're in a drought. Yeah. What can we do to solve our water problem?
First of all, it's important to understand that we are in this problem not because of drought. Our forefathers developed a system that would deal with 5 years of drought. So we're basically in the second year, with this year being obviously really bad. So we would for sure have some water shortages, but we have a catastrophe because for the last 5 years we haven't been doing what we're supposed to be doing, which is storing water. We've been dumping water.
We haven't done it because why?
Because we've left the pumps off in the Delta so that we're flushing water out to the ocean because of the Endangered Species Act. In the San Joaquin River, which is where most of the water for the bulk of our citizens live, between Fresno and Bakersfield on the east side of the valley, we gave up 250,000 acre-feet of water a year that's being flushed out to the ocean in order to revive this supposed salmon run. So this has been, which the salmon are not going to appear. That's why I say supposed, because they're phantom salmon. So we have given in to the radical environmental groups. They control the votes. The House of Representatives has acted numerous times, and the Senate and the United States senators from California have refused to act. So we have taken a real drought, a real mess. We would have a problem this year, and we have turned it into an absolute catastrophe. So we're working, David Valadao, Congressman from the 21st District, Kevin McCarthy, and I, we're introducing emergency legislation. We've tried to fix it in the broad sense. We've had other legislation that's passed. Now we're just simply going for emergency legislation that says, Senate, come and talk to us. Let's form a joint committee so that we can stop having these closed-door meetings and publicly debate what the fix is going to be. Get the pumps running and stop the San Joaquin River settlement, stop dumping water out to the ocean. That there is our quickest way to get water.
One thing we can't do is make it rain.
We cannot do that, but the system was designed to handle drought.
To handle drought for 5 years, which we're not doing right now. And you sit, by the way, on the chairman of the Ways and Means Trade Subcommittee. Does that hurt trade in California?
Well, unfortunately, what we have is all the products that are being produced now, the fruits and the almonds and pistachios, it's a booming business. But we're under a lot of stress now if we can even plant more crops to be able to export, because we don't have the water.
We got 15 seconds. High-speed rail, California is going to owe $180 million to the federal government due by April. Will they get that money to them?
Well, the high-speed rail is it's a political catastrophe. I can't imagine the state's going to come up with the money, but the federal government still wants to spend the money because it's money that was allocated 4 years ago by the stimulus bill.
Is it going down in flames, high-speed rail?
I don't see how it ever comes to fruition.
Devin, Nunes,
John,
Congressman.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. Would you come back again?
I will. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Our viewers, I'm sure.
To your new studio.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Congressman Devin Nunes from the 22nd District. Of course, we appreciate his time, busy schedule, for coming in today on MeTV Fresno. Back tomorrow with another edition of Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno.
you like me?
Just like me.
Like MeTV Fresno on Facebook. Get the latest news, interact with others, watch videos, become a fan of me.
Frigidaire. It means the first electric refrigerator. The first compact electric range. Now, there's the Frigidaire Gallery Range with Symmetry double ovens. It's designed to cook multiple dishes at multiple temperatures, so you can prepare the entire meal at the same time. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.